The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was canceled almost 20 years ago, and 20 years later, I'm still talking about this show, and I'm clearly not the only one. Jordan Fringe, Rebel Taxi, me, again, about the cancellation. You get the picture. I love this show. Sue me. I've been deep in my newest hyperfixation, and with that, having a YouTube channel comes talking about whatever the hell I'm obsessed with at that moment. And Billy and Mandy is one of the most beloved shows of all time, so it was bound to have some absolute bangers. So I figured, why not launch the first ever series on this channel, where I go through the top rated episodes of every season of Billy and Mandy, starting with season 1. I'll release one season at a time while me and the team chip away at this absolute monster of a project. When we have everything in the can, we'll compile it into one big bingeable video for you. Yeah, you're welcome. But before we get into it, here's a fun little fact. The show has had 5 reruns between 2007 and as recent as February 12th, 2026, over on Adult Swim, which is great, except it makes the situation a whole lot sadder, because aside from those reruns, the show is just so hard to watch in order from official sources anyway. And we'll get into it more as we go through each season, but if you want to watch season 1 on DVD, you gotta fork over anywhere from $80 to $300, and that's on the low end. Hell, if you're in the UK, they want your firstborn son. So yeah, even if you're willing to fork over the money for season 1, that's all you get. Season 1. No 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Now, sure, you can spend the next few days of your life scrubbing eBay for the Halloween specials, the bundles, but they're stupid expensive too, and they hardly cover 5 seasons worth of the show. So you can do what I did and buy a digital version on Apple TV, which does not include the Christmas special, by the way, because it was banned due to music licensing in various spots. An episode I also talked about here on the channel. I think I might have a little bit of an obsession, but you get the picture. The point is, it's on DVD, so if you want to spend $50 to get it, you can, or you can just hop on that Going Merry and set sale, if you know what I mean. Anyways, let's dive into the highest rated episodes of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and to make things as clear as possible, I am referring to the episodes by name, since with the show originally releasing as The Grim and Evil Show, the episodes can be pretty jumbled. So to make it as simple as possible, I'll be using the Apple TV watch order, just because that seems to be the most reliable way to get this show in full. Legally, of course. Do we understand one another? Awesome. Let's do this.
Now it's The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Then it's even more of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. This is Cartoon Network.
The first episode up is Toad Blatt's School of Sorcery, released June 13th, 2003, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a 3-segment episode rated with an 8.0. And we open with
the first day of summer. Isn't it glorious?
Goodbye, school. Hello, summer camp. Hello, sleeping in till 11. Hello, eating cereal directly out of the box on the couch in your underwear. But Billy and Mandy are not getting any of that. No, their parents are shipping them off, because this is the early 2000s and parents were able to afford to ship their kids off at this point. Now, I'll give you guys a second to guess where Billy's going. And if you guess math camp, ding, ding, ding. Also, can you type this week's lottery numbers in the comments while you're on a hot streak? Thanks, bro. As for Mandy, well, she's off to camp that teaches kids to be the literal opposite of who she is. Sunshine, lollipop, rainbows. Basically, it's a camp that was made for Mabel from Gravity Falls and not Mandy from Billy and Mandy. Basically, it's their personal version of hell, is what I'm trying to get at. And thank God they've got the Grim Reaper as a best friend, because Grim comes up with a solution. Instead of camp, they get to go to a magical summer school with a name so stupidly long it has to be capitalized. Toad Blatt's Summer School of Sorcery. Yeah, this is a Harry Potter parody. I don't think I need to spell that out for you guys, but I'm gonna do it anyways. The kids then get sorted into houses, just like Hogwarts. Billy and Mandy land at a house called Weaselthorpe, and let's be honest, is a way better name than anything J.K. Rowling cooked up. And instead of his top hat doing the sorting, it's a talking squid.
I'll tell you where you can go.
And here's the part that genuinely melted my brain when I first found out. That squid is voiced by Weird Al Yankovic.
Think I'm just too white and nerdy.
Yeah. Mr. White and Nerdy himself, voicing a sorting squid in a Cartoon Network show about a little girl who enslaved death. Cartoons in the 2000s were undefeated, bro. Then we meet our guy, Nigel Planter. Round glasses, messy hair, tragic backstory, the whole package. Even his goofy little scar, which I still stand by that Harry Potter should have had a big ass scar going across his face. Most powerful wizard in the planet, my ass. Give him a little lightning bolt. I'm still mad about it. But at least here, we don't have a derpy little lightning bolt scar, okay? It's not a lightning bolt. It's an L, which, yes, fan theories say stands for loser. And I'm inclined to agree because Nigel is, in fact, a loser. And that's at least cooler than, you know, old teeny lightning bolt. I'm talking a lot of shit about Harry Potter. I'm sorry. Let's continue. Anyways, Nigel's mission is to win the House Cup for Weaselthorpe, who never win because Dean Toadblad is obsessed with the rival house, Gunderstank, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be Gryffindor, maybe. Don't quote me. I think so. They both start with a G. Nigel teams up with Billy and Mandy to sabotage Gunderstank into oblivion, stealing Toadblad's prize Cumulon 6 broomstick, releasing a Gunderstank branded dragon to wreck the school. A lot of stuff, the whole 9 yards. And it works. Weaselthorpe wins. There's just one problem. Nigel decides he's gonna take all the credit. Screw Mandy. And, you know, even though Mandy did 99% of the actual brain work, because, you know, Billy's unconscious for half of every episode. And then this little wand twirling weirdo decides he's gonna try and shove his tongue down Mandy's throat at the celebration party.
Wanna know what it feels like to kiss a great man like me?
Somebody come get your boy Nigel. Now, if you've watched even 1 second of this show, you know that is the dumbest thing a human being could possibly attempt in this universe. Mandy doesn't even slap him. She doesn't have to. She just calmly tricks him into confessing the entire sabotage operation in front of Toadblatt and the whole party. Queen behavior, no notes. That's how you take him down. Now, Nigel thinks he's getting expelled, going home in shame, and no, his fate is obviously much worse than that. This episode is a certified classic, and one of the reasons it slaps so hard is because of all of the tiny little Easter eggs crammed into it. It's just blink and you miss it type details. But there's a kid at the school who looks suspiciously like a young General Scar, and Adams loved cross-pollinating his shows, so that kind of makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate you. And don't worry, this isn't the last we see of Nigel Planter. You'll have to wait for future installments for that, because eventually he who shall not be named appears. For real. He's coming. So we're in the same episode block, but the next segment is Educating Grim, where Billy and Mandy decide it would be a fantastic idea to drag Grim to school with them. And obviously, as the Grim Reaper, he does not want to go to elementary school or middle school or whatever school they're in. I think it's elementary school. But look on the bright side, Grim. You can brush up on your Spanish, learn about history, or you can become friends with Mandy's nemesis, Mindy, which is exactly what happens because of course that's what happens. And for all of Mandy's faults, you know, the whole enslaving thing, she is loyal to the people she cares about. And at least from what we can gather, it seems like she cares about Grim. And, you know, by like, soul contract, whatever, it counts as a best friend. He's her best friend. So when Mindy pops out of nowhere and steals him, Mandy is fuming. And Grim doesn't waste any time settling into the cool girl aesthetic. Meanwhile, in the universe, Abraham Lincoln is just alive and, you know, he's at Billy's and Mandy's school. They're homies. Sick. He's an immortal god. Don't ask, just go with it, and we'll see more of him from time to time. Yeah, Honest Abe is cool and all, you know, especially this Honest Abe. But he's not the Grim Reaper. So Mandy tries to warn Grim that Mindy is bad news. She's a blabbermouth on steroids. And you think Billy's bad? Get a load of Mindy, dude. Mandy being Mandy just lays it out flat. Tells her to shut up.
Shut up. She didn't take it well.
Cementing that good old-fashioned rivalry for the rest of the show. But she still has to get her best friend back. So Mandy hatches a plan. Use Honest Abe as bait. If Mindy sees that Mandy's hanging out with the 16th president of the United States, she'll forget all about Grim. 8-year-old logic, baby, but the show is built on it. And because of that, the plan obviously works. Grim gets kicked to the curb. The trio's back together, almost. Not without a little punishment for Grim first, obviously. And then we move on to the third and final segment. It's Hokeymon. Now, we've covered one big franchise parody already, but time for another. Pokemon. Hokeymon, you get the idea. The point is, one of the highest rated episodes, we got 2. I think people might just like to see other media appear in parody form. We don't get enough of that anymore, I feel like. Billy and Erwin are in the middle of a trading card showdown, and let's just say, it looks like Pokemon. You know, it's not, they knew what they were doing. Not the bulbous blobberguts. So now that I'm looking at it, I think this might actually be a parody of 2 franchises. Now the name's clearly a jab at Pokemon, but the card game aspect seems to be doing a whole Yu-Gi-Oh thing, which was also huge at the time. So, 2 birds with 1 stone, you know? Anyways, the boys love it. Maybe a little too much because their game escalates into a full screaming match where they're beating the shit out of each other, and that obviously gets Grim's attention. He sees the cards, likes the designs, probably because they all have crazy, disgusting names, and he uses his powers to bring one of them to life. Predictably, Billy and Erwin lose their minds, beg him to do it for the rest of the deck, and Grimm says, sure, just don't show anyone. They show everyone. They then get into a duel with another kid, wipe the floor with him, but the monsters start eating the other kid's cards. The boys then race home with an angry mob right behind them, and to defuse it, Grimm agrees to bring everyone's cards to life. Because what could possibly go wrong there, right?
After all, what harm could there be?
Now, Mandy is just coloring. She's just hanging out, vibing. She looks out her window, sees a giant Hokeymon causing chaos, and proceeds to draw her own monster. She marches that card right over to Grimm with one specific instruction.
Makes toast out of all the other monsters.
And let's be real, that thing looks like Salad Fingers had a stroke. And it goes to town on the others. Now, to think that we get 3 of those stories in one singular episode, the fan favorite status makes complete sense to me. The design on each Hokeymon is genuinely cool. It's basically Nightmare Pokemon, or if, I don't know, Monsters Inc. had a trading card game.
Coming up next, it's the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Now on to the next episode, Night of the Living Grimm. Episode 2 aired June 20th, 2003, rated an 8.1. Just a smidge higher than the last one. And this one opens with Billy mid-game on his favorite video game, Attack of the Non-Edible Green Slime. The fact that they had to specify non-edible makes me think someone somewhere tried to eat that goop. Now while he's playing, an actual blob of green slime starts floating in front of him. But that slime ain't slime, yo. It's snot or boogers, or, and I'm not making this up, nose juice. Specifically Grimm's nose juice. Because the bag of bones is bedridden sick. And being supernatural, his mucus is potent. Like, turn into a monster, gotta vacuum it up, kind of potent. Come on, we've all had that, right? Where your boogers come to life? While Billy's on slime duty, Mandy flips through Grimm's books to figure out what's wrong with him. Because the Grim Reaper doesn't catch a regular cold. It turns out Grimm has something called encroaching doom syndrome. Just routine stuff, you know, just basic checkup. You just gotta take a quick trip to the underworld hospital and it'll be fine. But Grimm refuses for some reason. He would rather just ride it out like a traditional millennial man. Only go if you're dying. Healthcare's too expensive. So I get where you're coming from, Grimm. But Billy and Mandy, they're dealing with floating snot orbs, so Mandy drags him in. Now in the waiting room, every other patient looks way worse than Grimm. But the second they hear encroaching doom syndrome, they bolt out of there like he's sneezing in early 2020. Or now, with that new virus. Moving on. The doctors rush him into surgery. There's nothing they can do. It turns out Grimm is alive. Yeah, encroaching doom syndrome is a countdown to become alive. And boy, does Grimm look funky with skin on him. Pot belly, everything. Which, to be fair, is pretty on brand. The guy eats just a lot of crap. Mandy renames him France to cover up the whole former Grim Reaper situation. And for a bit, France is having a great time. All the ladies find him attractive. Love the skin you're in. Until the boyfriends and husbands of those show up with guns, bats, and try to kill you. Now, you guys remember that slime monster from earlier? Well, Billy didn't do a good job vacuuming it up because Billy doesn't do a good job at anything. And while Grimm is mid-monologue about hating his new body, he gets eaten. But don't worry, he's not dead. Well, he is. He's back to normal. No more pot belly. No more babes chasing him all over the place. But welcome home, King. And now we get to probably one of the most memorable episodes in the entire series. It's still part of the same segment. This one's actually a two-parter. So we got a triple-part episode, but this is a two-parter of that triple-parter. It's called Brown Evil. Same episode block, the Brown Evil Saga. And we open on Billy gaming again, but this time he's playing Pat the Baker. And Mandy, who could not tolerate his slime game, is obviously fully not having Pat the Baker either. So she rips him out, slams in something just a little bit more her speed. President Evil, starring Haas Delgado. And that is unsurprisingly a parody of Resident Evil. And Haas Delgado himself is very clearly a parody of Ash Williams from The Evil Dead. And Snake Plissken from Escape from New York, if you want to get really nerdy. Hey, Sean, do you know who Snake Plissken is? Yeah. He knows. See? He's a nerd. Either way, it's zombie killing time. Billy watches Mandy play a few rounds and decides, naturally to bake some brownies. You like Pat the Baker? Just bake yourself. It's the same thing, but real. And, you know, it doesn't go that great. Now, while he's baking, he goes and digs through Grimm's stuff because he's out of salt. And what better way to find salt than to dig through the Grim Reaper's evil trunk of death? So he finds a little bottle. It's labeled evil powder. Billy can't read. I think you understand where we're going here. He dumps the entire vial into these brownies. And to every human on Earth, these brownies smell disgusting. To the Grim Reaper, they smell incredible. He gets told to throw them out. He can't resist. They're delicious. They smell good. He decides to not listen to Mandy. And the problem is there are other things on this earth that are not humans, or at least they're not humans anymore. Those brownies, or at least the scent of those brownies, start waking the dead. The undead start roaming Ennsville looking for the brownies, and it brings them right to Billy's front door. Realizing they're surrounded by the zombies, the gang figures the safest move is to send Billy out with the brownies. Because, and this is actual logic from the show, by the way, if they catch him, he's so stupid he doesn't have a brain, so they're just not gonna hurt him. Sometimes it pays off to be stupid. Now the zombies corner him, he's got a stick, and part one ends. But part two comes right after, and we jump right back to where we're at. From here, the newscast tells us the smell is spread across the globe, and everything that was once alive has risen from the dead, and they're all going somewhere. Billy manages to get saved, luckily at the last second, by the coolest of cool zombie hunters, Haas Delgado in the flesh. And they say he rules with an iron fist, or a chainsaw, or whatever he decides to put on his hand at that moment. He saves Billy, makes mincemeat out of the zombies, and storms inside to find the source of the smell. And the brownies are not in the trash, because Greedy Grim hid them inside his noggin. Haas is furious. Cue the showdown. Chainsaw hand, scythe, swinging through the kitchen. They're beating the crap out of each other. It's like the final boss of every action movie. Very Evil Dead meets Final Destination. Or it's just a Star Wars parody ripoff, which I think it might be, but we don't have proof of that. It just very much looks like it. Grim, because he's Grim, manages to chop Haas's mechanical hand off, but while he's celebrating, Haas just winds up his regular hand and just knocks Grim the out, knocks his head right off his shoulders, right through the window, right into a horde of zombies. I mean, hey man, he's been dead a long time. You find some brownies that make you feel a little certain way and make you feel pretty good, I wouldn't be throwing those brownies out either.
Good evening, and welcome to Shocktober on Cartoon Network. Tonight, we feature the hilarious yet haunting grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. Be sure to watch every night this month for more of Shocktober, only on Cartoon Network.
It's actually insane how stacked this season was. Who Killed Who is up next. Episode 12, the penultimate episode, aided an 8.2, another 0.1 higher, the highest rated one so far. And this one opens on a game. Again, it seems to be a very common trend here, but a board game this time, so it's different. Who Killed Who, which for the board game crowd is a spoof of Clue, murder mystery. You know it, probably. I don't know. Mandy wants in. That's the point. Billy and Irwin are not going to let her play because obviously girls aren't allowed to play games, I guess, in the early 2000s. So she's pissed off, obviously. Now, while the boys are playing, they accidentally chuck their dice into the backyard of this spooky haunted house down the street. Grim warns them that the house is haunted by the ghost of the old owner, Mrs. Doolin. And the boys are terrified to go in, so in the boldest move of the episode, they dare Mandy to do it. Now, I know Billy isn't the sharpest tool in the box, but even he should know Mandy doesn't get scared. Mandy ain't no Mandy just walks right in. Immediately gets greeted by a creepy silhouette of an old woman who happens to be holding the dice, and Mandy is just not phased for good reason. It turns out Mrs. Doolin is not a ghost. She's actually alive and very sweet. All the stories about her are stuff that Grimm seems to made up because she beat him in a staring contest. Mandy actually has a unironically great time. They fence, they chat, they bond, and she figures that she can use this to mess with Billy, so she stays inside. Lets Billy come looking for her, and when she does, she and Doolin pretend to be ghosts and scare the absolute hell out of him. Billy runs for his life in panic, but when Mandy turns back to look at the house she spent the entire afternoon in, it doesn't look the same. It's old, it's run down, it's abandoned. Mrs. Doolin is nowhere to be found. Doolin was a ghost, just not in the usual sense, because when she said she beat Grimm, she didn't mean a staring contest. Or maybe she did that, I don't know. But what she really meant was she beat death, and he blinked first. Now, this episode probably could have been a whole movie if they fleshed it out more. The twist got me as a kid, and it still gets me now. And, oh yeah, Mrs. Doolin was voiced by the late, the great Betty f***ing White. And the actual Betty White, not the Betty White that was in Aliens in the Attic. I think the best part about all this is that the very first time we meet Grim in the series, he tells Billy and Mandy that he never loses games. And here's old Doolin having smoked him at every single thing they ever played. Serves you right for betting your soul when you suck that bad at games, Grim. Get your shit together, dude. Finally, we're up to another episode, Tween Wolf, but this time the same block, second segment. This is only a 2-segment parter, not a 3-1. It's episode 12. Let's do this. We open on Grim trying to do a bit of supernatural magic. He's got powers. He is not, however, a magician. He fails to pull a werewolf out of his hat, and in frustration, he just yeets the hat outside. It lands under a streetlight, and Erwin manages to find it. Erwin can't resist a hat. He picks it up, the werewolf pops out, bites him, and that bite transfers the curse. And the second moonlight hits Erwin, he transforms into a werewolf, or more accurately, Scooby-Doo. Don't worry, under direct moonlight, he looks a little bit more fierce. But when Billy takes him home as a pet, he absolutely belongs in the Mystery Machine. Billy gets permission from his dad, and he adopts his new dog, Sprinkles, and to his credit, Billy is a pretty good dog dad, which we'll get into it, but Billy is not a good dad. He is in this episode, though. He even takes him on walks. There's plenty of people that don't do that for their dogs. He bumps into Mandy at the park, and Mandy has her own dog, Saliva, and Sprinkles is not a fan of Saliva. Mandy, obviously, because she's not an idiot, clocks the situation immediately, and she knows this is not a great day.
That's a werewolf, you chimp.
So she goes to get Grim for help, and not to remove the curse, that would be too easy, obviously. No, she needs Grim to help her win the upcoming Ennsville Dog Show. So they wait. They wait through every single category, and right when it's time, Grim slips Mandy a wereflea. One bite, curse broken. Erwin reverts back to his human form, buck-ass naked. And do you see this crowd? They're just taking pictures of this naked little boy. That's crazy. What's even crazier is Billy and Erwin still somehow win the contest. And I know Grim is in serious hot water with Mandy because of it, but that's it. That's where we leave it. That is season 1. And honestly, there's a very, very strong first season of very memorable and highly rated episodes. And I know that these are not the first episodes. I know that, you know, Meet the Reaper is obviously episode 1, but that was part of Grim and Evil. This is technically like the first Billy and Mandy season, and they came out swinging. So the ball is rolling really nicely heading into season 2. We've already had bangers, Easter eggs, a Harry Potter parody, an Evil Dead parody, a Pokemon parody, a Resident Evil parody, a Clue parody, and Betty f***ing White. We're 12 episodes into the show, and it's already done more in one season than most cartoons do in their entire run. But believe me, there is much better stuff coming on the way. So if you want to come along for the ride, you want to watch me lose my mind and freak out and scream about a cartoon that's 20 years old, hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned for season 2. And, you know, I don't know, ring the bell. Do whatever the YouTube gods are demanding me of these days. I'll catch you in season 2. Later.